Hello, everyone. How are you? Thank you so much for being here and for joining me today. My name is Lily, and I am so happy that you are here with me today. I have a video today where I am going to show you how I made my snippet roll. Look at this. Look at this ginormous snippet roll. I measured it, you guys. It is 55 feet long. I know. And there was a lot more to go. And I'll tell you how I came up with 55 feet. Okay. What I also want to mention is that I was not a fan of the snippet roll. It's been around for a while. You've all seen all of the videos of snippet rolls. This is nothing new. I am not inventing the wheel. Well, except the 55-foot snippet wheel right here. This is nothing new, and I want to make sure that I'm clear with that. But the reason I am here to show you my version of snippet roll, which is nothing grand, except it's grand to me. I didn't like the snippet roll. It didn't catch my attention. It was not something I wanted to do. I honestly didn't care for it. And a couple nights ago, when I was moving things around from my upstairs craft room to the basement, which is where I am right now, hurrah, hurrah. I was also moving obviously everything. And I want to show you something. So I'm going to set this aside for just a moment because I want to show you my scraps. And you've seen my scraps before. I have kept my scraps in box lids. And I've shown you my lids in the past because that's, where I've kept my scraps. For example, let me reach over here. Here is a lid of scraps. I've been doing this for a long time. I really like the shoe boxes, especially the large boot boxes, because those are sturdy lids. This is a Project Life lid where the 12 by 12 sleeve protectors come in. And so this is a nice box. It's nice and shallow, keeps scraps. And I've shown you in past videos some of the lids that I have. Okay, so I've upgraded. This is the new way I am housing my scraps. And these are baking tray lids. And you can find these. I found these at Costco. And it's the larger lid. They're only a couple dollars. And this is how I house my scraps now. So I wanted to share that with you. And sometime in the near future, I will do a video of my basement. It won't be finished. It never will be. But there are some things that I'd really like to share with you on how I house and organize some of my things, and also give you a full view of how I have the basement set up. Nothing too detailed, but maybe some of my storage ideas can be helpful for you or to you. And you can see here, and I hope you can see, let me move it. These nest so nice. I only have 4 of them. And so see how they nest like this? Each tray houses a different type of scrap. So just like I had the different lids, some of them housed items like this, chipboard, heavier cardstock, and packaging that I want to repurpose. And then this one right here houses bits and pieces of scrapbooking paper. And then this right here is just general scraps, book pages, music paper, die cuts that I've used from scraps, cutouts like this, punches, pieces of napkin, just general scraps. And this one right here, and I've done a video in the past on how I repurpose all of my scraps. And the other day, my granddaughters and we started stamping on scrap pieces of paper, pieces of coffee dyed paper, avocado dyed paper, book pages, ends of book pages. And I've mentioned this in the past. So I save every little scrap, and I just gave them some stamps, random stamps, whatever I could reach for. Gave them some ink pads, and I just told them to stamp away. And then a couple nights ago, I just cut them all up. Some of them I didn't have to cut up. I just left them as they are. So that's what these are. And this is what I use for collaging, for embellishing collaged pieces, to add embellishments to tags and envelopes and pages. So that is how I keep my my scraps. And the reason why I'm mentioning this, because this is what led me to the snippet roll, you guys. I know, this to this. And let me tell you that this used an entire tray of one of these. This is just stuff I had in a different area and that I dumped into this lid, but I honestly created this snippet roll using everything that I had on one of these lids. And I created the 55 feet until I didn't have one single scrap left over in this tray. And I want to show you what my process was. I mean, there's no, you know, science behind it or anything. It's just basically gluing things down and until the end, until it was empty. So I'm going to set this aside. I will be using it because I'll be gathering things or grabbing items from these two top trays. So I'm only going to use this tray right here. And then I'm also going to use bits and pieces from this one. So I'm going to set this aside. So I hope you find this useful. And they just kind of sit on a table to the side. And I like the way they nest right on top of each other. And it keeps everything contained. And I love this. I love this method, you guys. Okay, so setting that aside and coming back, I'm going to set this one right here. I don't have a lot of room. Even though I'm working on a very large table, I don't have a lot of room because we all know craft creep. So here it is again. Let me show you what the strips look like. So you can see here. And it was scraps. There are so many beautiful snippet rolls where you use textiles, just, you know, different, varying assortment of textiles and papers and buttons and things. I thought it would be a good idea for me to try and work on snippet roll using on my scraps because my scraps were getting pretty big and I don't want the scraps to overflow from these lids. So that's my way of keeping things contained. So I wanted to use up nothing but scraps, only scraps from the tray, using office supplies that I have from when I used to have my office. And that's basically it. And I'll show you here, and I don't know if you'll be able to catch that, but I did use gold threading. And that's just because that's what I had in my sewing machine. And it actually looks so pretty. And it gives this nice little gold glimmer. And I just love it. The reverse is just black thread. You could see how I just stitched all across. The very first thing I did is I put down the scraps and then layered little stamped pieces. I stamped and then I stitched. And that's it. That was basically it. I went from not liking snippet rolls to loving what I did. So I think it's important that if there's something out there that you don't like, now we don't have to like everything. That's, you know, we're not supposed to. But after I gave it a try, no different from me telling my sister that she needs to give jelly printing a try. I keep telling her, if you try jelly printing, you may love it, but you won't know unless you try. But it's just something that doesn't interest her. And I don't know how many times I've mentioned this, 100. And so I just, I took my own words of advice. I didn't like the snippet roll. I appreciated it. Okay. All those wonderful people that create snippet rolls, I appreciated the fact that they took the time to do it. It was just not something for me until just a couple days ago. And now look at my masterpiece. I can call it my masterpiece. And I gave it a try and look at me now. I love what I've created. Basically because these are all my scraps. These are pieces that I work with that I like. So why wouldn't I like everything here is appealing. So let's make one. I'm not going to make 55 feet of it, but I will show you my process. So if there's anything out there that you're a little bit reluctant to try because it just doesn't call out to you, give it a try and then you'll know, you know. If you don't play, you won't know. You know, I was watching a few of Tim Holtz's. He does his lives And so I was watching his, and in his videos, he always mentions the importance of just playing and getting creative and using your supplies. And sometimes we're afraid to use our supplies because we might, mess up or ruin things. Well, if we don't ruin things, and sometimes those are happy accidents. So, okay. So the very first thing I did is I didn't use glue stick. I used wet glue. So let's use some wet glue. And I really like this art glitter glue. I really do like it. And I only used a little bit. And I just reached in for the scraps. And it's okay if they overlapped the calculator tape. Is that what this is? 10 key tape, actually. I used to have a company about 10 years ago. I closed it down. So I still have bins of office supplies that I had forgotten about, that I rediscovered in my parents' basement because that's where I was housing them. Okay, so I'm only using a little bit of glue to adhere things down. I don't want a lot of glue because this is not going to be the main factor in keeping things down. In the end, I will be stitching it down. So this right now is just to kind of hold things in place, okay? And I didn't put a lot of thought into the bits and pieces. I really didn't. I didn't want to. So you see how I'm just kind of sticking things down? And if I happen to have, ribbon or other little things in the scrap lid, then I will use those. And there's really no rhyme or reason, no direction. Everything is going in different directions. In a video I uploaded before this one where I am working on a soft cover journal, I show how I use the snippet roll, because that was also important for me. That not just create the snippet roll, but also how to use the snippet roll, because I didn't know. I had no, I don't know if my brain just shut down, but I honestly didn't know how to use the snippet roll when I would watch others creating it. And which is surprising because you could use it as embellishments on your pages. You can use it for belly bands, for trim, all kinds of things you can do with the snippet roll. I don't know why my mind just kind of shut down, but that's what happens. When you don't like something, you just erase it. It's like it's not going to make any sense. You don't find alternatives, or you're not open-minded about it, is what I mean. You just shut down. And you don't explore all of the possibilities. This is packaging that I use when I'm working. Sometimes I'll use the mat, sometimes I use packaging, and they get messy from paint and inks. So I'm going to use whatever it is that's in there. So the other night, I just went for it. I just grabbed and just stuck things down. And, like this. Have you guys made snippet roll? I'm sure you have. Am I the only one? I'm usually, I've mentioned this in the past where I'm kind of late to the game on all kinds of things. Maybe I'm stubborn. I think I'm just stubborn, and I don't know. I don't know. That is a piece of sari silk. Let's stick that down there too. And just a little bit of glue. I use this because this is what I had handy the other day, but we could also use glue stick. It doesn't matter. What I knew that I needed to do was, once I glued everything down and I just kept going through the roll, I let it sit overnight so that the glue completely dried, because I knew I was going to run it through the sewing machine, and I don't want the needle gumming up. So I knew I didn't want that. So just a little bit there. And I would leave open spots like this, and then I would find other pieces and then maybe go back and fill in those blank spaces. But really not much thought to it. I didn't want to, like I say all the time, I didn't want to overthink it. And I honestly didn't even know if I was going to like it after I was done. But collaging always helps. Doesn't matter what you're working on, or what I'm working on. If I get stuck and I lose my mojo, collaging always helps. And that's what this did. I was sticking things down, and it's collaging, you know, layering little pieces of paper. And when you use your favorite little bits and pieces, it's all going to coordinate, and it made me very happy. Okay, so I could keep going and go. You see how easy, look at this. In just a few minutes, I was able to do, you know, about 15 inches of strip, just gluing things down. How fun to use up your scraps like this. How fun is that? Let's do a couple more because I want to move on. Look, even that. Oh, isn't that pretty? So there's just little randoms here in my lid. Here's this little piece. So let's just stick that one right here. The other thing that I did, so after I was grabbing all the little bits and pieces like this, this is from an old calendar. We don't throw anything away in this house, you guys. We don't throw anything away. I try not to. I'm trying to save the world one scrap of paper at a time. I know, I'm nuts, but really. Oh, that's nice. That says beaming. I say one more. Do you see how you just can't stop? Just one more piece. 3 hours later and 55 feet of snippet roll later, that's what happened. Whoa. But it is a lot of fun. I did this while I sat upstairs in the family room listening to the television. Because you can't watch television and do this at the same time, but I was listening to it. Here are little bits and pieces of jelly printed paper. And just sticking. Okay, so after I did that, then I went in to the stampy little bits and pieces. So let me grab that. Where is that one? Oh, so there is this lid. So then I went into this one and I started adding stamped pieces like this. So I worked in one direction, and then once I was out of scraps, then I went in the other direction and added the second layer, kind of filling in the little blanks, the little open spaces like this. See, and just started sticking things down. This is the best way to reuse your paper scraps. At least it is for me. I don't waste anything, and I get to play with stamping. And now I have all of these little stamps, little images to keep collaging. They add more detail to the projects. These are Tim Holtz stamps. So how about right there, like this? So that's what I did. Went in, filled in the blanks with little pieces like this. And then did this the length of the snippet roll. And I still wasn't sure as I was creating it. I still didn't know what it was going to look like, and if I was going to like it. I was just using up scraps basically. And because I had torn down my setup from upstairs and I still wasn't ready to set up downstairs, I just began to work with what I had handy, and scraps and glue is what I had handy. Whoops. So do you see how that's turning out? I mean, I know what it's going to look like now, but when I was working on it the other day, I had no idea. I didn't know I was going to fall in love. I fell in love, you guys. Fell in love. Okay. So, and then we don't have to use all of it. We can just cut pieces off. Cut pieces down. Okay, I will tell you something about working down in the basement, is that I can hear everything that's going on upstairs. I can. Everything. All the steps. When you move chairs in the dining room. I can hear it. I hope you can't. All right. So see how we've just done that? Let me use a little word right here. Okay. I'm not supposed to think about this. I'm just supposed to glue things down. So, right there. Okay. So you see how that's looking. And then what I did is I had one stamp handy that I knew where to reach for. And it was this one right here, this butterfly stamp. Okay. And I knew where my inks were, because everything, when I was bringing things down to the basement, you know, stuff was just getting stacked on top of each other, and I couldn't easily get to some of the things I needed. But I knew where these were, and I knew I wanted to stamp on top. And the reason why I wanted to stamp is it kind of brings everything together. When you stamp over bits and pieces, the stamping kind of unifies the layer, the overlapping pieces. I'll show you. So after, and like I said, first I laid down all the strips, and then I came in the different direction and laid my these, and then I went in the other direction with my stamping. I was just going back and forth, back and forth. And so this right here is what sealed the deal for me. Once I put the butterfly stamp down, I knew that I was in love. You see how it just brings everything together? Can you see that? I hope you could see that detail there. And that's basically what I did here. You see, just kind of overlapped. The stamping overlaps on those layered pieces. And I just kind of did that throughout. We just went in the other direction and just stamped away all the beautiful little butterflies. And I even did some overlapping over here. So come on, like this. Like that. So yeah, so then I did that in the other direction all the way through. And I had, once I got to this point, not that I wasn't having fun gluing things down, but once I got to the stamping, I was on a roll. I was on a roll. And then it got late, like really late, like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I gave it a rest and I stopped. The next day, I stood back and I looked at it, and I was like, it needs more. It needs more detail. I know. More, really? I still didn't know I was going to stitch it. So then I took a black pen, because that's just what I had handy, and I started doodling words. I started doing like little hearts, okay? And then I started writing words that says love. Some of the writing was legible. Other writing was not. Little scribbles. Just doodles here and there. Little hearts, because I like little hearts. And so that's what I did. So then I went in the opposite direction after I finished stamping. And then I just started doodling. And I'll show you over here some of the the writing I did. Are we upside down? Yes. So you could see some of the hearts there, some writing, some legible, some not legible. It's okay. I'll show you upside down because it really doesn't matter. There's some writing there, more writing. So I did that all in the other direction. And I had fun doing that as well. Just kind of going in and filling in some of the blanks and bringing more things together. And the word love. When I buy a new set of pens, I don't know if y'all do this, but when I buy a new set of pens, I grab a scrap sheet of paper, and the first word that comes to mind is love. And so I start playing with my new pens, writing out the word love and forever. And I just think I like the letters, and I like the way those letters flow together. And that's what I do. So throughout the snippet roll, I did love and forever. Oh, and happiness. So that's what I did. And then did little hearts throughout, and more words and more little hearts and more little scribbles like that throughout the entire snippet roll. And then I left it. I left it and I walked away. So this snippet roll, I think it was a 2-day process. Yeah. Like sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening. And then the last thing I did is I ran it through the sewing machine. I went in one direction 55 feet and did the zigzag. And then I came in the opposite direction, another 55 feet, and did the straight stitch. Yep. And I had snippet roll. It wasn't contained like it is now. It was just crazy all over the place. And once I added that little touch of the gold threading, you guys, it's like I had, you know, I had a new child to love. And now I'm like, my baby, my baby. But you could see all the varying pieces, and I love this so much. So isn't that wild? Going from not liking this at all, thinking it's something I was never going to do, and look at me now. And there's no doubt I will create another 55 feet. 55 feet of snippet roll. And yeah, I love this. Isn't that so cute? I think this would also be nice in Happy Mail. So a little roll of like a little bit in Happy Mail. Oh, that would make me happy, you know? So, and also to use in my projects. So if you haven't seen the previous video that I made where I use a little section of the snippet roll on the soft cover journal, take a look at that. I will link it below so you can go and take a look at that video. But yeah, yep, I'm a happy camper, you guys. I know. So if you've done this, I applaud you because it is a little time consuming, but it is so much fun. Look at how much I created just right now. And this was fun doing it here with you guys. And look at me. Snippet roll happy. And I still have so many more scraps to use. Okay. You guys, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm so happy that I am recording new videos from my new work area down here in the basement. I'm really happy. And I appreciate you being here with me. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I appreciate you. You guys, you take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will talk to you later.